Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read about a painted aircraft, an ancient containment site, strange contact lenses, birthday time, and a bitwise amoeba. I don't know what I expected from any of them, but that's pretty much how it goes. You never know what to expect, weird things happen, and then you go on with your lives. So in this one, we're going to start with a passive rip in time, and then revel rousers, an abandoned farm in China, an incomplete primitive cyborg, and Ed's head. And I noticed that the next episode is also going to deal with some form of heads, possibly severed. Not sure what the deal is with that, but I guess we'll figure out when we get there. So, well, it's Euclid, and it looks like there's, another SCP is attached to it. SCP-561 has an unidentified center, but its known area of effect covers several square kilometers of Canadian wilderness, near the abandoned town of Blank, Saskatchewan. I have no idea if I said that right, Saskatchewan? I think that's right. It is currently listed as a nature preserve, and the entire area is fenced in with guards posted and patrolling outside the chain-link borders. The fence is to be a minimum of 3 meters, 10 feet, in height, with both barbed wire loops and an electrified wire along the top. Intruders are to be taken into custody, stripped of all recording and photographic devices, and interrogated to determine what anomalies may have been observed. I don't know why every S or C I say is just hissing today. It might not actually be happening, but I'm just really hearing every time I do it. Authorization is granted to use any class of amnestic when deemed necessary. If intruders are injured by any of the products of 561, they may be airlifted to the nearest hospital and provided with a bear attack cover story. The products of 561 may only be moved by authorized personnel, which is SCP-1780, to whatever site is necessary for testing. Any products of 561 found outside the fence perimeter may be terminated on site, unless they are accompanied by appropriate personnel or are part of Group N, see Addendum 1. Description: although 561 itself is unseen, evidence of animal remains in the area suggests it has been in place since at least 2000-something. SCP-561 has so far proven to be directly undetectable, producing no electromagnetic or gravitational anomalies. Due to this, its exact area of effect is unknown. A rough guess of its boundaries has been extrapolated from the appearance of its products. 561 changes the reproductive results of nearly all living things within its radius, causing them to produce offspring from the species extant in the Pliocene epoch, the time period just before the most recent ice age. Oh. This effect extends to plants and animals alike, including humans. It should be said that the area around 561 is not yet noticeably different from most other North American forested areas. The flora shows slight alterations only due to the long generation time of larger plants. The area's fauna show a steady increase in alteration as time goes on. At this time, any animal life conceived in the radius of 561 has a fair chance of producing Pliocene-era offspring. Might as well see when that is. No, not copy. Search. The epoch of the is the epoch in the geologic time scale that extends from 5.333 million to 2.58 million years BP. That's some sort of mammoth camel. Is that a mammoth camel? That looks like some form of mammoth camel. Anyway. Testing to see which Pliocene species are produced as offspring from modern species has yielded impressive and sometimes unusual results. It appears that the evolutionary relationships are not preserved by the anomaly, as offspring may be on separate branches of a phylogenetic tree. The strongest Okay. I'm pretty sure that's predictor, but it looks weird. Predictor of the species of the offspring is morphological similarity to the parent. DNA testing has shown no genetic inheritance from parents in the altered offspring, as though the female were only a host mother. The direct comparison of DNA from 561 affected offspring to their Pliocene counterparts has not yet occurred. Due to difficulties in obtaining genetic samples directly from Pliocene-era life using Foundation assets such as SCP-Blank. Testing with samples of DNA taken from fossils dating to the Pliocene era has proceeded in the interim. Current results suggest that affected offspring may be assigned to Pliocene-era species, not novel species, with 99% confidence. It appears that prokaryotic life is unaltered by the anomaly. After 50,000 generations cultured of E. coli, no mutations or changes to DNA have occurred which cannot be attributed to normal genetic drift. Surprisingly, the ecology of the area has adapted well to the appearance of precursor species. This may be a result of the morphological selection displayed by the anomaly, or may be otherwise unrelated. It is not uncommon to see deer the size of moose with large antler racks or saber-toothed cats hunting. Photographs from the area of 561 reveal cougars nursing their own cubs alongside Smilodon cubs from the same litter and similar occurrences. Avian species do not seem to experience obvious alteration. Animal husbandry of precursor species has been approved, see Addendum 2. And what's a Smilodon? Is an extinct genus of that felid. Oh, it's just a saber-tooth tiger. Why did, okay, science. Like, they just said saber-tooth cats. Why, okay. Addendum 1. Blank, Saskatchewan, is a town which lies well inside the area of effect of 561. The residents were evacuated by the Foundation after blank % of the births since 2000 blank were identified as Neanderthal infants. The obvious morphological differences in the infants were explained as a rash of small mutations due to a tainted water supply. The residents continue to be observed in their new locations in case 561 induce permanent changes. The children have been deemed safe as no more than odd physical traits sets them apart from their human peers. This cohort is classified as Group N in Foundation records. N for Neanderthal. Addendum 2. Offspring produced via testing. Cougars, lions, tigers, and oh my, other large cats have produced various species of saber-toothed cats, including those more closely related to marsupials and mustelids. Saber-toothed cats may be trained to the same extent as other large cats can, but should be treated always like dangerous animals as with any tiger or lion. Deer, elk, horses, and moose have produced several extinct species of deer and elk, some quite impressive in size and antler width and configuration. Black, grizzly, and polar bears have produced several species of bear. These have included a very large cave bear, Ursus balaeus, and a strange running bear with a more wolf-like configuration of limbs. Ugh. Wolves have produced larger, more aggressive dire wolves, Canis dirus. Several of these have escaped and have been spotted as much as blank kilometers away from the perimeter. An environmental impact study judged that they are similar enough to normal wolves that no special containment effort is required, although they remain targets of opportunity. Dire wolves may be domesticated to the same extent as wild wolves, but largely remain aggressive and feral. Coyotes, foxes, and domesticated dogs tend to be more wild versions of the parent species, as well as smaller canid creatures. Most smaller canids have been trained to some degree, but do not have the same pack instincts as their parents. Domesticated cats produce members of Felis sylvestris, Felis chaus, and Felis margarita almost uniformly. Let's find out what those are. Felis sylvestris is the wild cat is a small cat species complex comprising Felis sylvestris and the Felis libica. Okay, so just wild cat. What team? Felis sylvestris. Jungle cat. And what's this going to be? Swamp cat? Mountain cat? Forest cat? Sand dune cat. I tried. It looks angry, but also adorable. Small pony breeds and donkeys have produced primitive equines, some relatively small in size and labeled cripplingly adorable by staff members. They have been observed to be very high-strung and react quickly to danger. Staff are reminded that many species of proto-horse do bite when threatened. Elephants have produced mammoths and mastodons, much to the thrill of certain senior staff members. Both seem quite intelligent and may be trained in a fashion similar to modern-day elephants. However, they seem to do poorly when removed from the area and have difficulty adapting to eating modern vegetation. Rhinoceros brought to the area have produced data expunged. Note, what do you mean we can't weaponize them? That would be awesome! Dr. writes, because of course Dr. Wrights would think that. Who are you? Dolphins and other modern-day cetaceans have produced their counterparts. The most common example of this are various species of squalodon. Hopes are high that a large cetacean may produce a specimen of Basilosaurus or something similar. Plans are underway to acquire a breeding pair of data redacted. An ostrich brought into the area laid an egg that did not hatch. Upon dissection, the egg was discovered to contain the fetus of an unidentified species of terror bird, Forest racidae. Additional tests are planned once parent specimens can be acquired. So let's find out what these other things are. What's a squalodon? It seems to be a large shark of some kind. Oh, it's an extinct genus of whale. It looks like a shark, but it's actually a whale. But it also seems to have a dolphin snout going on. Interesting. And a basilosaurus sounds like it's probably some form of water dinosaur. Prehistoric cetacean that existed during the late Eocene 40 to 35 million years ago. It looks like I'm looking at, like, a whale with an alligator head. And it's in Ark Survival Evolved. Cool. I have that game, but my computer cannot even almost play it. And last but not least, the terror bird. What's the terror bird? Oh, there's a video on him. Let's check it out. Well, that was interesting. I mean, YouTube is probably going to get mad at me about the music they used for it, but I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check that out too if you want. Let's see. Just want to make sure I actually have the link for the description. Okay, so next up is the Revel Rousers. Okay, so that just was like 14 minutes for the first entry, so this is going to be one of those episodes. Sorry about that. I thought it might be educational for us to find out what the terror birds actually are, since the video was right there. So this one is Revel Rousers. And it's Euclid. That's another Euclid. Haven't got any Keeters in a while. Maybe this will be the one. Due to the spontaneous and non-physical nature of 562, prevention of its effects is likely impossible. Containment therefore is to center around reducing the occurrence of 562 claim events, identifying unreported 562 incidents, and suppressing public knowledge of the anomalous components. Common aliases used by 562 have been filed on major sex offender registries around the world. Evidence suggests that internet safety training also reduces the occurrence of successful 562 claim events, so this is to be encouraged in European schools. What is... Okay, I need to take a second to check what rabble-rousers means, because if that's what this SCP is, I think I don't know what rabble-rousers means. One that stirs up the masses of people as to hatred or violence. A demagogue. Okay. SCP-562 is the designation for a phenomenon sporadically occurring on internet chat sites. During SCP-562 events... Wait. Is SCP-562 Flame Wars? Is that what this is? Is SCP-562 literally Flame Wars? Okay. A user is contacted by an entity most frequently identifying itself as Sylvia Gateman, Tom Hedge, or Dick O'Dale. That's probably supposed to be pronounced Dick O'Dale, but I'm gonna just go with Dick O'Dale. For a complete list of names used by 562, consult Addendum 4. Is that here? Nope. Accounts of SCP-562 are non-anomalous and usually discarded after use. During a 562 incident, it attempts to convince the subject to attend a party. After contacting a subject and establishing a rapport, 562 convinces the target that they either attend the same school or live in close proximity to each other. It will then tell the subject of a party, dance, or revel in the area and encourage him or her to attend it. Though 562 is very persuasive, there appears to be no compulsion affecting the contacted individual. If the subject refuses or terminates the connection without accepting, no anomalous effects are reported. Persons who agree to go to the party vanish in what is referred to as a 562 claim event. When next the subject walks through a door, they are transported to an unknown location. Tracking devices on the subject fail, and electronic monitoring reports them disappearing as they pass through the door. Humans observing a claim event report seeing bright, multicolored lights through the doorway and hearing unidentifiable speech and music, as well as a lingering smell of nutmeg. Those subject to claim events are found dead in the nearest old-growth forest at some point between 4 and 8 years later. Autopsies reveal the causes of death to be multiple organ failure consistent with advanced age. In most cases, a large, though safe, quantity of honey, milk, and alcohol is found in their digestive tract. Attempts to trace the origin of this honey have proven unsuccessful to date. These corpses are found dressed in ornate and unlabeled clothing of extremely high quality. Rarely the subject retains some item they possess at the time of the claim event. Such objects show wear consistent with decades of use. It is estimated that no more than 40 successful claim events occur each year, of which the Foundation is aware of roughly a third within a week of the body being found. The annual number of unsuccessful events is harder to estimate as these generally go unreported, but is believed number less than 1,000. Demographically, victims of 562 tend to be about 40% male and 60% female, mostly in the age range of 13 to 22. 562 may apparently manifest in any internet chat site, but tends to target European ones. Addendum 15. In light of the recent batch of 17th century letters published in the Royal Historical Society, it is now believed that 562 is not a new phenomenon. One exchange in the releases between a Lady Marchgrove and a Dick O'Dale, in which the latter attempts to convince the former to attend a ball he is throwing. Lady Marchgrove agrees to do so, and historical records indicate her disappearance at about the same time as the last letters believed to have been written. So it's not a flame war, it's just something crazy and weird. But it sounded like it could have been a flame war. Now it's time for an abandoned farm in China, which is also Euclid. As all carcasses of A have been removed from 563, minimal containment of 563 is required. Alright. That's certainly a first sentence. It is to be surrounded by a perimeter of motion trackers at every 3 meters, which are remotely monitored by Site 1265A 15 kilometers away. Is this one of those things where we shouldn't bring 477 near this? Because we can't bring the slime near dead bodies, and there's carcasses there? We don't know what they'll do, but we probably shouldn't bring it near those carcasses. Mobile Task Force this 22 codename Hannah's Barbarians. Haha. Is tasked with locating and containing other instances of 563 and finding information pertaining to the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation. Currently, MTF whatever this is 22. What is this? Key. Okay. 14th letter of the Greek alphabet is pronounced that in modern Greek and generally that in English. So, Psi? Okay. Mobile Task Force Psi 22 is working with the governments of South Korea, Japan, and the People's Republic of China to covertly outlaw the trade of bee instances and recall any existing instances citing food safety concerns. The government of the People's Republic of China, when I said that, I didn't realize that was going to be how the abbreviated came out sounding. I thought it was going to be PERK, but I said it wrong. So let's just keep saying People's Republic of China. Is currently collaborating with the Foundation to find sites similar to 563 and locating living instances of A for study. If there's anybody in the People's Republic of China that watches my videos, I apologize. I was not trying to say that about your country. I just did not think far enough ahead to realize that's what it was gonna come out sounding like. I'm just gonna keep saying the full thing. I apologize. SCP-563 is the designation for an abandoned plot of farmland located in the Hubei province, China. Did I say that right? I will never know. The facilities of 563 have been modified for the factory farming of animals weighing up to several tons. 563 is equipped mainly to handle large poultry, but other animals were raised at the facility. A refers to the carcasses of the presumed livestock of 563, which were found at time of recovery. A instances were several species of dinosaur and related reptiles that lived in China and Mongolia in the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. For a partial list of recovered specimens, see Log 5. When does Jurassic World 2 come out? Because there's a lot of prehistoric things happening in this episode, and I don't want anybody to think that I did that on purpose. I honestly don't even know when that movie happens. But this is shady. I'm the one reading it, and even to me, if I was watching someone do this and I knew when that movie comes out, I would think this was product placement, but I don't know when that movie comes out. Let's see. When alive, A instances were presumably farmed to create instances of B. B is the prehistoric food line of products made by a company known as the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation. Records of this company have been found, but as of Friday, the location of their primary business office and other facilities used to make B are currently unknown. B products are sold in several East Asian countries, but have been discovered in some supermarket chains in the USA. Various instances of B include apada sours, an instant ramen made with sweet and sour sauce and the meat of an unknown sauropod, presumably a smaller, easier to contain dinosaur similar to Abrasaurus dongpoi. Notably, chunks of gastroliths have been found in this product, suggesting it is partially made with stomach meat. Okay, so what kind of dinosaur is that? It's a long neck. Okay. Ancient Dragon Velociraptor Noodles. Instant noodles made with an assortment of meat from several dinosaurs, as well as pork, rice, and chunks of melon, and what is advertised to be a Velociraptor broth. Testing of broth is inconclusive. Product reportedly tastes like high-quality instant noodles with a high salt content. The first product of the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation to be sold in the USA in the redacted specialty supermarket chain. We don't need to Google the Velociraptor. I think we all know what a Velociraptor looks like. Dragon Bone Tea. Powdered tea advertised as being made using the bone meal of various species of dragon. DNA testing has shown that the particles are partially derived from non-fossilized dinosaur bone, but approximately 75% of the test results have been inconclusive. To date, this is the only product made by the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation that has been recalled for safety reasons. Dino Snacks! Sold in Japan under varying flavors, marketed using anthropomorphic dinosaur mascots including Takara Tyrannosaurus and Rhizoraptoru, Takara Tyrannosaur and Rhizoraptor respectively. Product resembles American pork rinds. Testing of the product has revealed that it is made of several species. Kentucky Fried Therizinosaur, a deep-fried poultry product sold as a frozen dinner in some parts of South Korea. As the name suggests, the meat is mostly made up of Therizinosaurus, or Therizinosaurus, that. calaniformis. Reportedly tastes like very tough chicken. Let's see what that looks like. It looks like some form of long neck that's also Edward Scissorhands. What did they make out of this one? Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was expecting it to be a bird. And then there's Kyoryu Kogen, literally dinosaur testicles. Sold primarily in Japan, consistently found to be made out of meat of pterosaurs of the Gehelopterus genus, advertised to increase sexual stamina and fertility in both men and women. And what is that? It looks like some form of flying reptilian squirrel. Okay. Other non-anomalous products in this line include ginkgo soup, candied fern leaves, and it used to say steamed buns made with fish, but now it says the fish in these buns have been found to have actually been a species of trilobite, shelled and heavily cooked. Records found pertaining to the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation lists 563 as Production Farm 22. Investigations into the existence of the other 21 plus farms and other facilities related to 563 is currently ongoing. And here's a partial log of deceased specimens of A group of Microraptor Zoinus found in a locked shed near the central office of the farm. Injuries indicated that they were shot at close range with 10mm rounds. Notably, 2 instances were found to still be alive, having avoided fatal injuries from the gunshots and surviving on the carcasses of the deceased instances. All instances were found to have been wearing pet collars. Okay, let's check out that. This episode is getting drawn out just off of me checking to see what all of the prehistoric things are. How is that a raptor? That thing's flying. The Microraptor is a flying thing. Okay, it was a genus of small 4-winged Paravian dinosaurs. Numerous well-preserved fossil specimens have been recovered from Liaoning, China. They date back to the early Cretaceous formation 120 million years ago. Next up, several hundred instances of this, presumably in an artificial nest found in a large metal shed. Cause of death not immediately obvious. Testing showed that all instances had been exposed to a cyanide gas. Jeez. Oh, it's that again. It didn't have that second word last time, so... the carcasses of several species of unidentified sauropod immolated, found in a field surrounded by a highly powerful and tall 5-meter electric fence. The fence was found active upon containment of 563, and contact with it resulted in severe injuries to a recovery force member. Okay, so if they thought it was smart to touch an electric fence, they deserve that. Burnt remains of several ceratopsian dinosaurs, including Protoceratops, were found near the aforementioned sauropod enclosure. And what's that? The Protoceratops. Well, there's not a... Oh, no, there's a picture of it. It is a small quadrupedal dinosaur of the late Cretaceous period, having a bony frill above the neck, probably ancestral to the Triceratops. And how does that look? Oh. Huh. Okay, so now I feel like, was it Sarah? Sarah from Land Before Time, I now believe may have actually been one of these. Interesting. Posthumous examination of all 8 instances found that up to 79% of the individuals found had a prion in their system prior to their death. Testing on this prion found it to be similar to a prion that causes kuru, suggesting that 8 instances had been fed or were feeding on the meat of the same species. And what is that? Okay, so... Oh. It's not sneakers. It is a very rare, incurable neurodegenerative disorder that was formerly common among the 4 people of Papua New Guinea. It is caused by the transmission of abnormally folded prion proteins, which leads to symptoms such as tremors, loss of coordination, and neurodegeneration. Alright. Notably, most species of raptor found on site were immune to this prion. Addendum, document 563 AD CC 05. The following is a translation of a document recovered from behind a picture frame in the main office building at 563. The document was partially damaged by mold, however, Foundation linguists have been able to reconstruct what they believe is an accurate rendition of the document. Dear Name Unknown, as the Americans say, we have hit the jackpot / windfall / big time. No more simple frozen meals for this failing company. The jungle you pointed us to has given us quite a boon. The meat is delicious, the fruit is unknown, most likely a synonym of delicious, and the seafood, one of the cooks made a stir-fry with ginger, and I suppose you would call it shrimp and clams, but honestly, I'm no paleontologist. It was the best thing I've ever tasted. And the eggs, well, we're having difficulty finding unfertilized ones. The ones we do find either hatch and have babies, possibly embryos or zygotes, in them. But the things that do hatch, it will make an American scientist, most likely paleontologist, blush and then die of joy. We're sending back a few specimens to the leader? Next stop, unknown. Next sentence indicates a country to the north, most likely either Russia or Mongolia. Northward we go! With regards, Zhao Song. Are there going to be any more weirdly prehistoric dinosaur entries today? Or did we finish that up? Well, the next thing is an incomplete primitive cyborg, so I think we're done with prehistory. Special containment procedures, SCP-564 is to remain on the assigned bedding at all times. Due to the fragility of 1, contact with 564 requires special clearance for testing purposes only, for its own safety. Access to its point of origin is to be restricted to those with approval for testing. Anything removed from the area is to be kept in the same container as 564. Communication with it requires level 3 or higher clearance. It used to say communication is to be recorded via audio recording devices. Now there's an addendum that says, communication now required to be recorded visually as well. Communication with 564 is now restricted to written notes with its available hand. See test log 4. Description: 564 was located and data expunged, which appeared to have been abandoned for at least blank years. Several commonplace tools were contained within the room, as well as, along with a few objects of unknown purpose or identity. At 564 appears to be a construction assembled of various materials resembling an adult female human of exactly 1.5 meters in height. The outer shell of its form, making up most of the body, is primarily compressed sandstone with traces of an unknown material. Inside the limbs, chest, and head runs a network of poorly insulated copper wire and rubber tubes, which carry a golden brown fluid of unknown composition. Eyes resembling those of a normal person are large pearls. There is also a small gap where a mouth would be, but aside from a rough shape, no other external parts of normal humans have been replicated on the construction. 1 resides in a cavity accessed by a panel on the chest region of 564. It appears to be a large, transparent, and slightly luminescent blob surrounded by an iron ring with numerous holes in the edges. It is assumed to be highly elastic, as portions are stretched through holes in the iron ring and held in place with large orange nails of an unknown alloy. Currently, 1 contacts the ring in such a way in 9 very different locations around the ring. A network of wires appear to connect each location and run to various points within the structure of 564. 564 is sentient. It appears to have severely limited control over the constructed body, and unless otherwise noted, is completely immobile. The following observations have been recorded to date. It can move the right arm freely. Small movements of the left index and ring digits have been noticed. It can move the left leg freely at any point below the kneecap. Structures resembling eyes are active, however only the right eye can move freely. Used to say it can speak. See test log 4. 564 claims to have been human at one point. Its identity before its current form is assumed to be data expunged, who was recorded missing in 19-something, however there's currently no evidence to support this. Testing of 564 is restricted until speech can be regained. Test log 1. Approved by 05 and carried out by Dr. Somebody. Tools use forceps and a nail recovered from the site of discovery of 564. The subject was 564. 1 was manipulated with forceps. 564 noted feeling pain in the left leg below the hip. Nail was then brought into contact with the same area and the level of pain reportedly intensified. Forceps used to manipulate without removing other nails in the iron ring surrounding 1. A number of sensations occurred in various locations around the body, seemingly associated with a specific nail. Test 2. All the same things. A portion of 1 was extended away from the central mass with forceps, so it complained of pain in the left wrist. It was manipulated into a hole in the iron ring where Dr. Blank inserted a nail in a fashion that resembled the others. So it experienced intense pain in the wrist area and the right leg began to move erratically. Test was forcibly ended after 564 refused to cooperate. Test 3. Tools use X-ray machine, drill, hammer, forceps, and a nail recovered from the site of 564. A portion of one was extended away from the central mass with forceps. Subject complained of pain in the right hip. Doctor attempts to find an opening in the corresponding part of the body to no success. Drill used to create a hole in the corresponding part to no success. Hammer used to shatter the outer sandstone layer to no success. X-ray machine brought in, and a corresponding part was viewed. Wires running through the area were noted, and one that connected to the area was traced back to the iron ring in one. Portion of one manipulated through the corresponding hole, and a nail was inserted in a fashion that resembled the others. Subject complained of slightly increased pain. Movement of the hip was noted when the subject was asked to attempt to move the leg. Nail removed and test ended. Test 4. X-ray machine and forceps. A nail on the ring of one was chosen at random. X-ray machine brought in, and wires extending from the ring of one were traced a short distance away to the right of the base of the neck. Forceps used to hold portion of one held by the nail, and the nails removed. Subject started moving erratically with available body parts. Internal liquid suddenly vomited, and subject lashed out at the doctor. Attempts at communication with subject were met with silence. Due to the reaction of 564 towards doctor, blank portion of one being manipulated was lost to the central mass. Test was forcibly ended after they refused to cooperate. Loss of speech noted. Conversation log 14. Please tell me anything you remember between now and Expunged. I was returning home from Expunged. A man approached me. He assaulted me and covered my mouth with something till I fell unconscious. Do you know who he was? No. Continue. When I came to, I couldn't see or hear or feel anything except for a faint, throbbing pain all over my body. I don't know how long I remained like that. Eventually I heard a terrible static noise that lasted minutes, until the sound became the voice of a man muttering to himself. I can't remember what he said. After that point, occasionally a point on my body would hurt intensely for a moment, before returning to normal. Sometimes I'd be able to feel normally with an arm or a leg shortly afterwards, but most of the time it didn't last long. Eventually my vision came back too. I was in the room that you people found me in. Did you ever leave that room? No. Was there anybody else there? Yes, I think it was the man I saw before I blacked out. How about any others like yourself? I don't know. There were other things that looked like people, some of them laying on tables, but none of them moved. Continue. I don't remember much else. The man looked like he was working on something on my chest, but after a few days he didn't come back. I was laying there for a very long time, until eventually you people found me. How long? I don't know. It felt like an eternity, maybe years? I was unable to sleep the entire time. End of recording. Well, that's messed up, but at least it's not prehistoric. But then that brings us to Ed's head, and who knows what this is going to be. Well, it's safe, and there's a photo of it. Note that the degradation of 565 due to decomposition is significantly heavier at present. 565 was kept in a Type 3 aquatic object containment tank on level 4B of Site 77. It is fed twice daily, and tested weekly for development or degradation of mental capacity. Staff who are so inclined may view 565 during its scheduled feeding times by appointment with Dr. Schaefer. Description. 565 is an ambulatory human head, apparently male, which appears to mimic the behavioral patterns of Carpulus convexus, a species of coral crab. Its chief method of ambulation is the manipulation of tendrils of unfurled brain matter which emanate from a large crush wound at the back of the skull. These tendrils are often utilized as legs, allowing 565 to scuttle along the seafloor like a crab, but occasionally are operated for motion and manipulation in a manner similar to the tentacles of an octopus or jellyfish. To date, Foundation research has proven inconclusive on how and why 565 remains animate, or how it is able to manipulate neural tissue in a manner suggestive of musculature. Testing is ongoing, but data expunged urchers who wish to contribute work or theory to the investigation of 565 should contact Dr. Schaefer through the usual channels for an appointment and transfer interview. 565 was caught by a fishing trawler called Saturday's Child off the coast of redacted Tumbleweed. Who wrote this? Why is the redacteds just blocking half words? Because this isn't the first time I've had this happen. Tumbleweed Captain Blank, and was informed that 565 had been sighted several times by local fishermen and was apparently living as part of a crab colony in the area's reefs. Video footage taken by one such fisherman shows 565 feeding on a dead clownfish. See attached document 565A for further redacted. It is not immune to the harmful effects of exposure to a watery environment and has continued to decay as is normal for dead tissue. It is estimated that 565's decay will have advanced sufficiently to neutralize it within the redacted. Addendum 1. Forensics testing has linked 565 conclusively to the DNA and dental records of Edward Beltram, deceased December 28th something, approximately 2 years before the first known sighting of 565. He was murdered by his wife Rebecca by strychnine poisoning and blunt force trauma to the back of the head, with a description of the murder wound matching the wound through which the exposed cranial matter 565 protrudes. Dr. Schaefer has proposed that Beltram's body be exhumed for analysis. Addendum 2. He was exhumed by Foundation researchers on blank 9th blank. The corpse had been beheaded, with wounds suggesting that it had been torn from the soldiers with extreme force rather than cut. Photographs taken by bereaved family members at Beltram's funeral showed that the corpse's head was still attached at the time of burial, and the grave site showed no evidence of having been disturbed. His corpse was retained for study, and his grave restored with a substitute as per standard Foundation empty casket protocols. Addendum 3. Data expunged Psi 8. Stations on the site reported no activity. Okay, so page revision last edited November 2017, 210 days ago. Whoever made this revision should not be allowed to touch articles ever again. Until such a time that they learn that you can't just expunge half words and then keep writing them. That's not how that works. That will never be how that works. So until you can figure out how to not do that, you should not be allowed to touch these anymore. Anyway, that about does it for this episode. In the next one, we're going to do, Word a Day, The Dungeon, Dismemberment Strap, Heads, and Puppet Show Gloves. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.